students. We're ready now to continue along talking about the lymphatic system. Today, I want to focus in on the lymphatic pathways. And so, again, the lymphatic system not only moves interstitial fluid around, it also provides the body with immunity. And also remember, it's closely tied in with the cardiovascular system. And so, from our last module, you'll see how these two systems are related to each other. And so, let us go ahead then and get started. All right. The lymphatic capillaries, and so just like the blood system, the cardiovascular system also has capillaries, the lymphatic system too has tiny little vessels that are also referred to as capillaries. So at least the anatomists were nice enough to name it the same thing. These are microscopic, closed-ended tubes that extend into interstitial spaces that form complex networks that parallel that of blood vessels. And so again, remember that in the textbooks, the arteries are colored as red, the veins are colored as blue. There is no such thing as blue blood, and so this is just to help you distinguish between the two major types of blood vessels. Notice that this green here is these capillaries from the lymphatic system. So they are closely tied in with the cardiovascular system. And so this is even a little bit of a closer zooming in on the lymphatic capillaries. And so you will see that along the way, there are some openings that will allow the exchange of the interstitial fluid with the blood. And so the lymph capillaries are nearly everywhere in the body where you see blood capillaries. There's always an exception, of course. The exception to this rule is the central nervous system. And so if you think back to the 5 types of neuroglia, you'll remember the microglia, the tiniest of the glial cells, are the ones that confer immunity upon the nervous system. So the only time you will not see these lymphatic capillaries is located within the brain and or the spinal cord, because remember, those particular parts have the microglia, which then provides the immunity for the central nervous system. The lymphatic capillaries are made up of thin walls, which allow for the entrance of the lymphatic fluid, and so this is what is known as lymph. And so the lymph is this specific fluid that is different from blood. The walls of lymphatic vessels are similar to those of the veins, but they're thinner. And so remember, one of the key features of veins is they have these flap-like valves that prevent the backflow of blood. And so sometimes older people, those start to get a little bit weak, the flap-like valves. You end up sometimes getting varicose veins. And so the lymphatic vessels will also have these types of flap-like valves. This also serves the purpose of preventing the backflow of lymph. So again, we can see the same intelligent design used over and over again. The larger of the lymphatic vessels will lead into what are known as the lymph nodes. And so some of you might have heard about lymph nodes, especially for those of you who might have gotten sick and you notice that you have some swelling of your lymph nodes. And so remember again, one of the main functions of the lymphatic system is for immunity. And so your body is responding, and oftentimes inflammation is a side effect of the immune response. And so the lymphatic system, because it's tied in with immunity, during an illness, sometimes there is a swelling of the lymphatic lymph nodes. I want to talk now about the difference between lymphatic trunks and collecting ducts. No, not the quacking type, that's different. These are collecting ducts. And so let me go ahead and explain. The lymphatic trunks are conveniently named for the regions that they serve. And so, for example, your neck is also is also referred to as your jugular. And so we see, for example, we have the jugular trunk, the right lymphatic trunk, we have the thoracic subclavian trunk, and so the intestinal trunk. And so all these trunks are named with where they serve. When one or two collecting ducts are joined, we have the thoracic duct and the right lymphatic duct. And so basically, it cuts your body kind of in half, not entirely in half, but these are the two of the major collecting ducts in your body. The thoracic duct handles the lymph from your lower limbs, your abdominal regions, your left upper limb, your left side of your thorax, and your head and your neck. So it does quite a bit. The right lymphatic duct, however, does receive lymph from the right side of the head and neck, the right upper limb, and the right thorax. And so basically, if you know what the right lymphatic duct does, so the right side of the head, the right upper arm, the right thorax, then the thoracic duct handles everything else. So as long as you are familiar with that, then that should be fine. All right. I want to finish today by talking a little bit about tissue fluid and lymph. We have a picture here that's showing you what goes on in this process of lymph fluid exchange. We see, for example, that we have an arteriole and we have a venule going out this way. And so remember that the vessels in between the arteriole and the venule, the tiniest of the blood vessels are the capillaries. And so wherever you see blood vessels, you're typically going to also find lymphatic vessels as well. Notice that we have, again, nutrients are being taken in, things like oxygen and sugar, fatty acids, vitamins, ions. We have waste products that are given out of the body, carbon dioxide, unwanted metabolites, excess ions. Some of the tissue will end up going back into the capillaries, while the rest of the tissue fluid enters the lymphatic capillaries. And so basically, there is a sort of screening process that's going on here because, again, your lymph nodes and your lymphatic system is trying to look for foreign invaders. And so what it's going to do is it's going to call some of the fluid off to the side and it's going to test it to see if there's anything that shouldn't be there that's actually there. The resulting fluid is then from the capillary blood pressure will filter the water and small molecules from the plasma. The resulting fluid is similar in composition to the blood plasma. So again, we can see how closely related the lymphatic system is to the cardiovascular system. And so it's osmotic pressure which will help draw the fluid back into the capillaries. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Tomorrow then we'll learn about lymph nodes and some of the other important organs of the lymphatic system. And with that, I hope you all have a good rest of your day.